You've been doing some high-risk day drinking.
Sounds like the start of a bad joke. A bikie, a Northbridge identity, and a journo walk into a bar.
What's the punchline?
Gang crime's there. The bikie gets taken away for questioning, the Northbridge identity threatens to sue for unlawful arrest, and the journo gets sad because he can't finish his beer. I was at the Paddington Hotel in Mount Hawthorn to talk to Troy Mechanti about a story I've been working on.
What story?
It's just a news story. I write lots of them. I speak to a lot of people.
I like stories.
A story about bikies, then.
It's just you'll find out in due course, okay? Nosy much? Anyway, I walk in and Troy's already there with a couple of his mates. Although bikies don't have mates, of course, they have associates.
Friends is friends. This is business.
I order a beer and we sit down.
When was this?
It was a bit before midday on Monday.
A beer a bit before midday on Monday.
I was working. What are you, the church elder? Anyway, John Kizon walks in and sits at the same table.
Why was he there?
Kizon and Mechanti are like Bert and Ernie. They're always together.
When we're not sleeping, we like to walk places together.
A few minutes later, gang crime come in. Not storming in, wasn't a raid or anything like that.
Sorry to bother you.
One moment they weren't there, and the next moment there's about 6 of them all around us. It's actually quite a good trick. They asked for ID, that was a formality. I'm pretty sure gang crime knew who we all were. And then they said that Troy was being detained.
What for?
A cop said he was being detained under the Criminal Law Act, which is pretty broad. It covers everything from cybercrime to piracy.
Avast and shiver me timbers!
Something for everyone.
Police have the power to eject pretty much anyone with any kind of criminal conviction from a pub, tavern, restaurant or nightclub, which is what happened to Troy. When you think of gang crime and the bikies, you think of this. This was the opposite, all very calm and quite transactional.
So no aggro?
There was one moment when the cops told Kizon that he was also being detained. John politely hinted that might constitute unlawful arrest and that he would enjoy suing the government for yet another $10 million. At which point the cops called their boss and the boss said, let's not go there.
I reckon JK's used to it.
Yeah, he's been running rings around the WA police for longer than the gang crime cops at the paddo have been alive.
What would you have done if it had kicked off?
I would have leapt into the arms of the nearest police officer and had him carry me through the crowd. Hopefully just as Whitney hits the key change in I Will Always Love You. Finally get some value for my tax dollar. Gang crime took Troy out to the car park. They were actually the gang response team. We've blurred their faces in case they want to become dentists one day.
Morning, Rob.
They let him go after a little while and then we continued the conversation at an unlicensed premises across the road.
Sitting there on the park bench like a couple of Forrest Gumps.
That's my life.
Well, I thought it was a very lovely story.
The cops were polite to a reasonable point and very professional, as you would be in front of a reporter, I guess. But at the time, there didn't seem to be any real point to it all. Then a day later, we find out there'd been a countrywide police operation to disrupt bikies. Called Operation Morpheus.
Someone is going to have to fight them.
Police around Australia getting up in the grills of the OMCGs.
What kind of charges?
The usual thing, breach insignia, resist arrest, importing 850 kilograms of cocaine.
Whoa.
That last one was obviously a separate police operation. The rationale for ops like Morpheus is that some of the targets will eventually get sick of having their doors kicked down or having gang crime disrupt a pre-midday beer at the paddo and give up the outlaw life.
You reckon it works?
In some cases, yes. In Troy Mechanti's, clearly no. I don't know if what happened at the pub was part of Morpheus or a follow-up to it or completely unrelated. Regardless, I don't think the police attention is going to force this bloke onto the straight and narrow, start applying for jobs at the local supermarket or IKEA. How's Beryl from Balga going to react when one of Australia's most enduring police targets gives her advice about a clothes hamper or serves her a $1 hot dog? Or she looks up at the checkout and sees him back in the groceries at Aldi.
That's good different.
A good different heart attack.
So if it's not going to end with him quitting the bikie life, how will it end?
Probably like this. Hopefully not. The man on the ground in that photo is a cop who was punched outside the Breakwater pub in Hillary's. The bloke who punched him had been chucked out of the pub for being a dick and continued being a dick outside the pub, which is why the cops were called. He walks up to one of them with his hands up like he's surrendering and then smashes the officer in the face. Total gutless sucker punch. The cop had no chance. Floyd Mayweather couldn't have ducked that one. And Floyd didn't have to make a split-second decision about what level of force to use like that cop had to. Do I use my pepper spray or my baton or my taser or verbal judo? Knocked out for 30 minutes, injuries to his jaw, his neck and his shoulder, Long-term problems with his memory and his balance, that'll stay with him forever. And Neil Graham Cahill, the guy who lamped him, will probably be out of jail in a few months.
At least he pleaded guilty.
Because the whole thing was on CCTV, that guy. When he was led out of the dock, his wife blew him a kiss. The next time someone does that sport, it'll be in Hakea prison.
Whatever back freckles.
I bet up.